here is the King Kong of output transformers. Now this is for the new amplifier.
Yeah, this is the one of the prototypes we're looking at for the for this new Legend amplifier.
Okay.
And this particular one is quite interesting because it has two secondary windings which are separate from each other. One for the mids and highs and one for the bass.
How about that?
Yeah, and they're wound. They're slightly differently disposed within the winding and in the whole winding as a whole. And for example, the high frequency is made out of many strands of thinner wire, and it's got different insulation on it, and then some big hefty wire, the gauge for the bass. And
this one is
this, for comparison, this is a 300, but it's about the same. It's the same kind of size as what's used in the GACA one, so you can see the difference. But this one's got a high B in there, so it's not actually a GACA one transformer, which has 50% nickel iron. We can see this, the big output transformer for the Legend. I mean, not all of them have this because it's variable to the customer. You know, they're not all on that spec. This one's got the big, huge 55.
That is huge.
There's loops in there, and that's only for one valve. You know, so
that's really the magic of the sound of a valve amplifier is the transformers, and the output transformer is key.
That's the core material, the winding and the materials used in there.
Very good. Well, that was a fascinating overview of the output transformers and the size of the new output transformer. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about resistors, okay?
Yeah, well, this is a completely new and unique resistor. These are made in Japan with our partner out there, which Peter and I have been working with for I don't know how many years, back and forth, and we've had many dinners and many discussions, and a lot of times them thinking that we're completely bonkers. You know, these two, one Danish guy and one English guy, they're coming to Japan and they're completely insane. But eventually we've got to this point, which is the silver resistor. Now, I don't know if everybody knows, but inside this, what you see here, inside there is a alumina or aluminium oxide, a sintered aluminium oxide core, which all of these kind of resistors have. And usually the coating on there might be carbon and some of the carbon film resistor, but usually it's nichrome, which is an alloy of nickel and chrome as it sounds, which has a low temperature coefficient. But this particular one, the coating is tantalum metal. It's a lot denser and a bit more expensive. It doesn't have quite as good electrical properties, maybe if you just look at it from that sense, but it has a unique sound quality. We probably will be making varieties with the nichrome in there as well, but this one's tantalum, so it'll be nichrome, and we're now working on a niobium resistor as well, which is slightly different. Yeah, so we're looking at that as well. We've got some samples just came in. What's different about this particular specimen is inside there's an alumina rod, and on the end there are like two cups, where if you imagine this is a rod, there's a cup which is forced on, and it has to grip on to that vacuum deposited film which is on top on the alumina rod.
So the cap itself is like a little bit wider in diameter.
Yeah, right? But you can see that's what's filling out at the end, because it's sort of it's forced on. Well, usually the most common material used for that is steel, because you can imagine quite steel when it's punched in, formed into that shape. It's, you know, steel can be made springy. If you were to spend a bit more money then, like we do in our non-magnetic resistors, then that's brass, because again you can form brass and it will grab, you know, it's got a spring to it that will grab on. What we wanted to do was use silver for that, which generally silver is either like chewing gum or it just breaks.
That's right.
Or it just stretches and just sort of tears apart. You can't make, or not until recently, you couldn't make a cup or an end cap as they're called, which would have enough spring to go on there, which could be formed into shape, and then we'd have enough spring to reliably hold on. And then this is the silver wire which is welded onto the silver, so there's no soldering, this is welded straight onto the silver, and then underneath there is the tantalum. But there was one of the UK universities, and there's a professor there, and they're working with an Italian foundry, have developed together with us a process in order so that we can make a silver which is heat treatable. And it has some secret alloying elements in there, which even they won't tell us exactly what, but we've worked with them to get it to work for our purpose. Which can be formed and then has sufficient, after it's been hardened, it has sufficient springiness to reliably hold on. And in order to get to this point, we had to order many tens of kilos, or of this raw silver. Then it was processed in Italy, drawn out, and first of all we were making it in plates and sending it out to a batch process, sending it to Japan. So it was in and out, and the Japanese customs were opening boxes declared of 50 kilos of silver alloy. And then they would try it, and then it would fail. It would make some resistors, and they sounded good, and then it would fail. Start tearing, or it wouldn't have enough spring. I had to ship it all the way back to here, and then down to Italy again, and then it would be reprocessed. And eventually, we managed to, after many years of doing this, it cost an absolute fortune in terms of the silver and the wastage. And but we've got the process working now, so we can reliably make these, and there's still a fairly high rejection rate, which for the caps. But now we've got this special unique resistor, silver wire, a silver end cap, and it's welded, not soldered, and then the tantalum film. And sometime we'll probably make a niobium one of these as well, and maybe a nichrome, I don't know. The niobium's pretty good. But there you go, the ordinate silver resistor, which is the culmination of many years of work between Peter and myself and the Japanese engineers.
Well, that's very cool, and that's what adds to the magic of the sound of a non-Nino component, and it surely adds to the price of a non-Nino component. Yeah, it sure does. Well, thank you very much, Andy.
Thank you.
Okay.